listening to this podcast right now. Do you want to hear a fucking podcast about anything and everything? Yeah. Like movies, music, television, and more?
Oh my God.
Well, you've come to the right place.
Yes.
Subscribe to Journey into Comics Network, and you get Podcastrophe, hosted by me, Dick. Why not throw a couple bucks to the Patreon? It's your choice. Yeah. This is a Podcastrophe.
That sounds so awesome.
The following is a Journey into Comics Network production.
This is a tasty burger.
You ever tried shawarma? There's a shawarma joint about 2 blocks from here. I don't know what it is, but I want to try it.
Do you want some coffee, Mr. Tully?
Do I? Yes, have some. Yes, have some.
Is butter a carb? Will you stop eating?
We elves try to stick to the 4 main food groups. Candy, candy canes, candy corns, and syrup.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Hey there, everyone. You are listening to Foodies Watching Movies. I am your co-host, Andrew Port, and I want to thank you guys for joining us today. I am joined at a table, not at Nate's house for once, on a Foodies episode.
Yeah.
So how you doing today, Nate?
I'm doing awesome, man. It's the first time in 3 consecutive episodes of Foodies. It's the first time since episode 2, I believe, that we actually have the whole group here.
Yeah.
So joining us today is Lauren. Welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Hello, I'm doing well, thank you.
Good, good. And as always, the co-founder of Foodies Watching Movies, my cohort, Veronica. Welcome.
How's it going?
It's going really well. We just watched an awesome movie. We're going to be spending some time talking about that tomorrow, a little bit later in the podcast today. We've got a whiny puppy dog, so it's very, very much like a normal podcast on JIC. You know, if it's not Joanna's dog or your dog, it's somebody's dog. And today it's actually your dog.
I know.
We're recording from Studio V. Okay. I see what I did there. And today we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. But I want to kick it off and ask you guys all a question. I don't care who wants to answer first. How was Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was great. It's actually the first Thanksgiving I wasn't at my parents' house. I was actually at my with my fiance's family. And, Liz is joining us here today.
Welcome to the show, Liz.
Hey, thanks. Hope I didn't scar you too much with going to my Thanksgiving.
Oh no, it's always it was a different experience. But as long as there's family, some political drama, and everything else, it's usually family Thanksgiving.
There was political drama?
Oh, of course.
Oh man,
when you have some Southerners coming in from Atlanta, Georgia, there's always going to be some fun talks about Trump and all that jazz. So he got into a little bit of a, I don't know if you'd call it a tiff or an argument. About the wall with some of the relatives. And they're not my relatives. It's on my aunt's side, so...
Married in?
Yeah,
they
married
don't
in.
count.
Yeah, they don't count.
It's like, well,
just to preface by saying they're not really my relatives.
Yeah, no, we're not.
They're just some relatives.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what was the food like? That's really where we're kind of going with this today. How was the food at this Thanksgiving?
The food was great. We had turkey and stuffing, all the traditional Thanksgiving food. And I really enjoyed it. Turkey was great. There was a whole kitchen table full of dessert too after it.
Oh man, they did
got a
Thanksgiving right.
Piece of eclair cake and some brownies, I think there was, or fudge.
Yeah, something like that. Some gluten-free stuff. And,
okay, so they weren't spiked brownies.
No.
Okay. Unfortunately, would have went through Thanksgiving a lot easier. If
I bet there would not have been any wall talk. You know that's a funny thing we joked about. Like, man, one year we should just bring like pot brownies to Thanksgiving and let everybody mellow out.
And just don't even tell them.
Don't say a thing. Just let everybody just get mellow.
Someone's have like 4 and just be catatonic for 5 hours.
What happened to Aunt Georgie? I'm not sure, but I don't think she's moving. But she's staring into the wall. Like what's going on here? So if you could pick one food from Thanksgiving, AP, that is like your mecca, it makes or breaks Turkey Day for you, what is it? Is it the turkey?
It has to be the turkey.
Really?
Turkey.
Okay.
Sometimes you get it has to, and usually for me it has to be white meat.
Okay, white meat guy. That makes sense. Makes sense. What about you, Liz?
I mean, normally with my Thanksgiving, it's a little different. Going to this big Thanksgiving, you don't get as much of the ethnic food that we normally have. We usually have like German dumplings or spätzle, and so I kind of miss that. But on a normal Thanksgiving, it's got to be the sweet potatoes.
Oh, see, that's my life too. I'm all about. We made the sweet potatoes this year for your mom's Thanksgiving, and
We did. It was the first time I've ever attempted to make a sweet potato dessert, and it turned out nice.
people were very happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
Lauren, we haven't had any conversations about how your Thanksgiving went, and I'm so curious. What did you do?
It went well. I went to my grandma's house in Griffith. Pretty much my whole mom's side of the family was there. And then the following Sunday, my mom had like a tiny Thanksgiving dinner at her house with me, my sister, my grandma, and her boyfriend was there. She had it so that we could have leftovers because my grandma didn't have enough leftovers at her house for all of us.
Aww.
So she
That's
made
amazing.
she made like a whole turkey, a whole ham. She made like mashed potatoes, niblets, corn. She made everything.
Multiple Thanksgivings are the best. You know, multiple holidays are the best. We had 3 Thanksgivings. Well, at least I did. V, you had 3 because you were at your grandma's house in Crete, I think.
I went to my great-grandma's house.
Great-grandma's, yeah, my fault.
And on Thanksgiving. And then on Friday, Black Friday, my mom has her Thanksgiving dinner every year. And it just kind of works out that way because of schedules and stuff like that. And then we went to Nate's dad's on Saturday.
And we had the most non-traditional Thanksgiving you could possibly have.
Yeah, we had Monocle's pizza.
Half cheese, half supreme. So it was like
That's
totally not Thanksgiving.
It actually tasted good for once. Usually I don't jam on Monocle's because it's always super dry and tastes like kind of cardboardy sometimes, but it was very good.
Yeah, it was absolutely a great pizza. So, speaking of pizza, I wanted to find out what you guys are doing as far as new restaurants you might have tried. I know that I'm big into always trying new foods. Veronica, I'm going to throw the ball into your court because we recently found what we're going to call the spot. Now,
Yeah.
I want you to talk about what we had for lunch yesterday. I think we had it last Sunday, too.
Yeah, we decided to try out Mod Pizza for the first time because there's a Mod Pizza in Cherville now, or Highland or somewhere up there. And my sister lives out in LA, and she said that the Mod Pizza out there was like, oh, it's okay. It's just like basic pizza, nothing special. So we haven't tried it, and it's been open for, I don't know,
2 or 3 months.
Couple of months, and then we just decided to do it, and it was fucking delicious. It was very good. It's like the fast food of pizza, but like gourmet yummy pizzas.
It's not Little Caesars. No.
No, it's not Little Caesars. They've got like one of those like 700-degree wood-fired ovens or whatever, and then you can pick the size of your pizza crust, and then they build the pizza in front of you, and you tell them what shit you want on top of it.
It's the Subway of pizza.
It's the Subway of pizza.
Okay.
It's really cool.
But it's really good.
Yeah.
And the drinks there are really good. They've got like vintage lemonade, they call it. It's super hipstery.
They make homemade ding-dongs.
Yeah, but they're really good, so I'm going to let them have it.
Yeah,
and you can
they really
also
are
have a
good.
beer there as well.
Yeah, what about you guys? Try anything new? Food or film-wise?
I know for me, since I've been traveling a lot, I noticed that at least what it seems like in Colorado, they're really about their spice, like their green chilies and everything else. Because all the Mexican restaurants I've been to out there, their mild is like spicy for me. I'm like their level, their bar is
like
set.
They set the bar a little higher.
So it's like, oh, you can get mild or medium or mid, and I'm like, well, I'll just okay, the mild, it's fine. And then it's like the salsa. Oh, that's the salsa. I'm like, salsa's like hot in Danville, so it's like, oh, all right.
So it cooked you.
Yeah, it was.
So
not,
you have fun at all the different restaurants out there?
Yeah, I've gone to just a lot of bar and grill type places. Not a whole lot of exotic fare.
Yeah, but you're going back, right?
Yeah, I'm going back. I don't know about this week, but probably the week after.
Explore more foods.
I know,
more
definitely.
Foods. Hey, maybe by the time you get out there will be an In-N-Out burger in Colorado. You heard about that, right?
They're putting in an In-N-Out burger?
They're expanding to Colorado. There's going to be 30 new locations for In-N-Out burger in Colorado.
Really?
Now it's only half the country away.
Correct.
Yeah. I know Liz and I had it when we were in Vegas
Yeah,
a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
It's a good burger.
It's kind of like Shoop's.
And we just had the pizza today. Was a pizza we haven't had before. Or not mates. We had Chinese, Mexican.
No, we had Mexican.
Whoa.
It's been a day.
We
I'm
watched
sorry.
a really fucked up movie, and I think we're all a little fucked up from it right now.
Yeah,
But
sorry.
we had Mexican food today from a little restaurant called My Little Ranch, and it's pretty much the only place to get Mexican food around here, within like a half-hour distance, but it's pretty good. Did you guys like it?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. That was a good quesadilla, and the salsa was always good. And the chips like broke apart, but sometimes it's nice to get because you can get a lot more of the salsa in between the layers.
That's why I like those chips. They're like homemade tortilla chips, and that's why they do that. After they fry them, they like kind of break apart a little bit. But I really like their chips and salsa. It's my favorite.
This restaurant's so awesome that the owner, like his house, I drove by it once. It literally has a giant like stone My Ranch thing. Like it's not their logo, but like he's calling that his ranch, and he owns the little ranch. And then there's actually another bigger building that's like a full size restaurant they have in Lowell as well.
Oh,
it's
okay.
really great. The first time I had it, I was absolutely blown away. That's one thing about Lowell. You guys have a lot of really cool, unusual food options. Like the ranch is awesome. Faustino's is awesome. I really wish we would have got to try that today with everybody here.
Yeah, I completely disagree with what you're saying. I feel like Lowell is one of the worst places for food. All you have is fast food, and then a bunch of little pizza places that are really expensive and only open at 4 p.m. and close at like 8 p.m. because they're all mom and pop shops. I mean, the one place that we do eat, Faustino's, is usually pretty good. A lot of times they forget my ranch when I order, what do we get? The corn nuggets. They get they have these deep fried corn nuggets that are really delicious, and they always forget to deliver my ranch. So, whatever.
It's you and sauces always.
Well, it's like that when you get like House of Pizza and you get those fried green beans with
the ranch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was delicious. House of Pizza is also notorious for forgetting my sauce. I always order a cup of pizza sauce on the side because that's just my thing. And almost every single time I have them deliver it, they forget it. And it ruins my day every time. So I've decided for my own sanity to just order carryout and make sure I get it myself.
Lauren, what about you? Have you tried any new foodie things or had new film experiences?
No to the new film experiences. The only thing that I really tried lately, and this was probably like a month and a half ago, was I went to Chicago with my friend Bridget. And we went to this restaurant called, this like bar, it was called Fat Cat, and they had this amazing chicken pot pie or turkey pot pie. It was probably like this big.
Oh my gosh.
And I ate all of it.
Amazing. It was delicious.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to have to try that. It was Fat Cats?
Yeah, Fat Cat.
Fat Cat, okay. PH or F?
F.
Okay, just making sure so when I Google it, I'm not like confused. But speaking of new things, you and I got to experience something today that everybody else at the table V has already experienced. We watched this movie, Get Out.
Mm-hmm.
And
man, that was fucked up.
Yeah.
So you guys have already all seen it.
Yes.
So it was just me and Nate that have not seen it. Okay, and this was per Lauren's recommendation that we watch this movie. Yeah,
she loaned this to us after like Foodies episode 2, I think.
I remember, and then we just hadn't gotten around to watching it yet, and then we decided to save it so we could all watch it together.
Yeah,
and we did, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Still processing.
Well, I feel like I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was really good. I thought it had some very needed comedic relief, here and there. And I think that's because Jordan Peele did this movie, right?
I still think it's very strange that it won the Golden Globe nomination for comedy, though.
Right.
I don't understand why that's a thing, because this was
won?
one of the most
it didn't
fucked up movies
it got the nomination.
I've seen in a while.
The studio was pushing it as a comedy because it's more likely it'll win for a comedy, even though if you watch that movie, it's not a comedy.
Because it's more of a thriller.
Right, you don't laugh during that movie.
Okay, let me just preface this by saying, guys, I had no idea what the fuck this movie was about before we watched it. Like, even today, I still didn't even know what we were going to watch.
Interpretation, like, it's going to be kind of like this. Did you have your own?
Well, this is what happened. I had no idea what this movie was going to be about. I didn't read the information on the box before we, put it on or whatever. I didn't research it before because I didn't want to have any spoilers. I wanted to enjoy it. And as I'm watching this movie, I was just sitting there thinking, like, okay, what is this movie going to be? Because I know something immediately is terribly, terribly wrong. And then about 20 minutes into the movie, I figured it out in my head, and I was super pleased the whole time because I was right.
I'm just hoping that they'll nominate it for the Oscar for Best Picture, just because I feel like it it fits the Oscar nomination a lot better than the Golden Globe nomination, because the Golden Globe is split up between drama and comedy.
Yeah, it's a drama and music. It's a drama and then musical or comedy.
Yeah. So I'm really hoping that it'll get the Oscar nomination for Best Picture.
Well, if they open it up to 10 nominees, it could be easily one of the 10. I don't think there's anything that's really stood out to me since the award cycle that are more than 10 items. At least from what I've seen.
I think that Get Out was a phenomenal movie. I do believe it should be nominated for an Oscar. You guys had hyped up this big twist.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm spending the whole movie, like, I think I was spending the whole movie waiting on the twist and just, like, soaking it all in. And I didn't even realize the twist until it was right there in front of me, because I was still just, like, I was analyzing every piece. Like, right at the very beginning of the movie, I'm like, the fucking dude who just choked that guy out, what does his shoes look like? Maybe I'm going to solve the mystery with his shoes, you know? And I'm, like, looking at everything. This movie does a really good job of being, and this is an interesting way to say this, it's the most racist, non-racist movie I think I've ever seen, because it's all about overtones. Mm-hmm. They don't do anything that's racially damning, but they make you feel uncomfortable in a certain way, because he's being put in these situations consistently throughout the whole film.
It's overtly positive.
Yes, and he's being like, what's that? It's like, I don't know what the term is. It's a term that...
Show pony?
No, that's like where you, like, get hyped up by other people too much, like
love bombed.
Yes, they like love bomb him, but it's like weird. They're like giving him weird compliments, and then they only talk about like Tiger Woods and Barack Obama, like, and you're just
they want to show how much they love black people
and like how strong he is and how.
Oh, he's so handsome.
Yeah, and actually, Lauren, if Lauren wouldn't have said it, I wouldn't have actually really even made the connection. Still watching it, that the guy at the beginning of the movie is I forget his name, something King.
Andre?
Yeah, the guy that Dre guy, but he calls himself something King. I can't remember.
Oh, it's
Logan King. Yes.
So I think it's safe to say spoiler alert for this episode.
Oh,
so should we like talk about what the fuck this movie is, so people who are listening to us know?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and explain it, Lauren? Because you picked this movie. Why did you pick this movie? I want to know.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. I just really enjoyed it when I went to go see it in theaters. I think it was because of the audience that we had with us. Me and my friend Bridget went to go see it originally, and I remember there was that line in the movie where he said, "The images you capture, so brutal, so melancholic." And there was a guy sitting behind us who, as soon as he said "so melancholic," he was like, "What?" And me and Bridget were like, "What? Why did you say what?" I don't understand what is so strange about him saying so melancholic. Mm-hmm. But it was just a really fun movie to see in theaters.
It seems like it would be visually anyway, you know, like just even watching it. Man, that was a really interesting movie. It felt like it was so self-referential, like it even referenced the fact that it was so like Stanley Kubrick, you know, with the Eyes Wide Shut reference.
Yeah, it was
very Stanley Kubrick.
It was meta, kind of.
It was a very meta, interesting psychological thriller, black comedy, dramedy. It's all encompassing, this movie, really.
Right. Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask you an interesting question, because I want to see if we were on the same brain wavelength. When the cop car pulls up at the end of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Did you think it was going to be the cop at the beginning of the movie, that when they hit the deer? Because that's where my mind went.
That's where mine went.
I was like,
I thought it was
no.
At first, my heart sank for just a second when I saw the lights. I was like, oh man, he's going to get like...
shot or something.
He's going to get shot, and it's going to be a horrible downer of a movie. Why the fuck did we watch it? And then it clicked. I was like, wait a minute. What happened to the other guy?
And then
the TS motherfucking A guy popped out. I was like, okay, that's better. You better fucking end it like that, goddammit.
Sometimes we know more shit. Sometimes we know more shit than y'all do.
I think the two things that I didn't notice when I first saw the movie, and I don't know how I missed it, was the fact that all the black people wore hats that had already gone through the process. I didn't make that connection when I first watched the movie. I thought it was
strange hair.
Or the woman had like that wig that
to cover their scars.
Yeah.
And,
they all wear the hats to cover their scars.
Yeah, I did notice that right away, and I also didn't make the connection between the mom, the deer on the side of the road, and the woman at the end.
Yes.
I didn't...
It's the same.
Right, how it has that same feeling about having to...
That's why I said at the beginning when he hit the deer, I was like, pay attention to this
Right.
because this is important because it relates back to his mom getting hit by.
He's like personally reliving that moment he's tried not to think about. It slowly awakened him. And then I knew as soon as he sat down in that chair, I was like, she's going to swindle his ass and totally hypnotize him, and I don't know how it's going to happen. It was so clever.
Well, I kept hearing the spoon stir, and I was like, she's hypnotizing him right now. Yeah. Yeah, this movie had hypnosis, it had racism, it had parties, it had romance, and some
betrayal, some
Frankenstein-like shit,
Oh.
and it was a fucked up movie.
When Rose,
I would recommend it. It was a great movie.
When Rose turns on him, and she just like, I
When
can't
he finds
give these
when
to
he
you.
finds that box of pictures.
Just different, including like the black people that he's seen before.
I was really
Like
hoping that the daughter wasn't going to be involved.
I think that was what was trying
When I
to
went to
supposed
go
be.
see it, my friend Bridget was like, she's in on it. She was like, she's in on it from the beginning. From like with the first 20 or 30 minutes, my friend Bridget was like, she's in on it. And I was like, no, she isn't.
She plays
and she ended up being like one of the main people.
She plays that innocence card so well. You're like, oh, she doesn't know what's going on, and then you're like, oh, it's just that feeling. You're like,
and I love how his friend Chris's character's friend, like, had it completely figured out from the very beginning. They're having these conversations. He's like, get the fuck out of there.
Right.
You know.
I loved how the first reference of the movie's title is the picture with Logan, and it like triggers him to. It's like the Flash breaks the chain of command that's going on in the brain. And Chris was smart enough to like figure out he uses that later, but like that moment with Logan when he's like, get out of here, like
his whole personality
he's not doing
reverts.
it trying to be mean to him. He's trying to save him in that moment, and the only person that should be realizing it is Chris, and everyone else is going, oh, he fucking ruined it.
I love
He's
how
spoiling it.
I love how at the end he like used like the stuff from like the stuffing from the chair to like put in his ears so that she could not hypnotize him.
Yeah, she
and that
tricked him.
ultimately saved him.
Yeah.
I still think the creepiest part of that movie for me was early on when he goes upstairs and everyone just stops and looks up.
Yeah.
This isn't like
It was very Rosemary's Baby. It had that weird Satanist cult feel to it. The whole movie, like, it was really good. I'm so glad that you recommended this movie.
Absolutely.
It was really cool. I liked it a lot. And for whomever is out there listening, you probably have no idea what we're talking about if you haven't seen this movie. This probably sounds really strange. But go see the movie Get Out. It was fantastic.
I took the movie Guess Who's Coming to Dinner and just spun it on its head.
Yeah. Guess who's not leaving dinner?
Man, what is it with them? Like, I feel like Hollywood is doing such a great job of perfectly casting douchebag brothers. You look at Stranger Things 2 with Billy. You look at Rose's brother Jeremy, I think it was in the movie.
Yeah.
He was like, whoa, over the top douchebag. And then to put together at the very beginning of the movie, that's him that kidnaps Andre, and then it just like everything just turns on its head once you get the end of the movie.
Right.
So rewatching it, that was your third time?
Second.
And that was your third time?
That was like my 5th time.
Whoa. Okay.
I saw it twice in theaters, and I've seen it like twice since then, since I've owned it.
Amazing. Yeah. So let's go around and let's rock our pizza slice review. We got to figure out how good this movie is. Out of 5, what are you giving it, AP?
I gotta say 5. It was
solid 5.
I couldn't find anything to fault on this movie.
Okay, I like that. Liz, what about you?
I'd probably say 5 too. It's not your typical cookie cutter thriller or horror movie, and that's something that, like, for me, it's hard for me to find with like thriller and horror. I feel it's the same thing over and over, but this one's completely different.
Absolutely, they kind of redefine it. V, what about you?
I'd give it a 5 out of 5, just because I didn't know anything about this movie going into it, and not knowing what to expect and just watching it unfold was really cool. And I thought it was like one of the better movies I've seen in a long time. Like, it was actually really well made and wasn't just like some stupid fucking summer blockbuster, you know? This was a really cool, cerebral, creepy, fucked up, funny movie.
There's not like a lot of like bogus plot holes. You can't look through the movie and just pick apart little mistakes or errors they made. They did a really good job of making it like sincerely with the purpose of telling a story as true as you could.
Right. And it reminded me a lot, like, I started early on in the movie, I started getting vibes from this other movie that I had seen called Skeleton Key. And Have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah, with Kate.
With Kate Hudson. Yeah. And she's like in New Orleans, and she's like a hospice worker, and she goes to work for this elderly couple, and it's like a possession story, like where all the servants there, like
only aren't
all consciousness.
Isn't
like
in
it's
that
witchcraft.
Isn't in that movie though? Aren't the black people possessing the white people?
Yeah. He was like a voodoo
Yeah.
priest and his wife, and they possessed the owners of that house or something.
And they keep moving into younger and younger bodies.
Right. It's like Tale of the Body Snatchers, Skeleton Key got together and had a baby, and it was an interesting.
I feel like I threw in a little bit of Stepford Wives a little bit too.
Yeah. There's a lot of really cool like references in this movie.
All right, let's kick it over to Lauren. Out of 5.
I'd have to give it a 5 just because I recommended it, and because
so you kind of have to, right?
And because I paid to go see it twice in theaters,
so it's well worth it.
Yeah.
I'm going with a 5 too. I think this is our first perfect film foodie review. Foodies perfect score.
Definitely.
It had everything you want in a thriller. It kept you on the edge of your seat. There are moments where you're just like, you feel so much for the character, and like, no, don't do that. I know what's coming, and I can't save you, you know, or like when he goes to the sunken place and he's falling, and you just want to like reach your hand in the screen and save this guy because he's like, you know, he's
especially
so
when he starts
fucked.
crying when he's in that chair.
Well, and the thing is too is he's toast as soon as he starts immediately giving away details about what happened when he was a kid, because he's like, I'm not talking about that. I don't need to talk about it. And then like seconds later, he's immediately talking about it.
He's like,
yeah,
and then just done.
And then it's over.
Yeah, she like took him on some guided meditation into hypnosis to the sunken place, is what they called it. And it's like being a passenger in your own life as somebody else takes over your consciousness or your body, but your consciousness is still there.
So they just take your whole brain out, put the other guy's brain, and then you just keep your consciousness in like the subconscious state, it seems like.
Yeah, the sunken place.
Had the dude from Office Space in this movie. That was pretty awesome.
Should have just given his red stapler. We didn't have any problems.
Yeah. Do you have my stapler? Okay, so let's
5 out of 5 out of 5 because all 5 of us say 5.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's the first perfect score we've had
movie.
on the show, so definitely recommending that to everybody. I think we've done a good job too of not spoiling that weird twist that does make the movie so special. We've kind of we've danced around it. We never really said exactly what happens and why they're doing what they're doing. I think that's very important. Motive is everything for this movie.
Bingo
I
game
think
still kind of makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, the bingo game makes you super uncomfortable.
It's like a slave auction.
And also, what one unanswered question I think I had from this movie was the mirror with Georgina. She's in her room looking in a mirror and it looks like she doesn't see out. Or is that supposed to just be because she's
looking at herself.
I think she's admiring her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she was just looking at her reflection. She didn't see
that he was looking.
You're focused on your own, what you look like.
I got you. She was just lost in herself. That's fine. All right. Well, let's move on from that first perfect Foodies movie, which we should absolutely recommend. Get Out and Get Out. See what I did there? Maybe that'll be the episode title. I don't know. That's weird.
It's a lot of... It's hard to say.
But let's go through some recommendations. Do you guys have anything in general we maybe not have talked about on the show, something that you're into on the food front, on the film front, anywhere, it doesn't really matter, that you would recommend to our listeners?
What we just watched last night, I would recommend Wish Upon.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, it's I don't know how we stumbled upon it. I think we just saw a preview before one of the movies we saw in theaters.
Because we saw, I think it was during 47 Meters Down, which is also a must-see. It's probably one of the best like shark thriller movies I've ever seen.
Okay.
But Wish Upon is about this girl who stumbles upon this box, and she gets 7 wishes, and there's kind of like dark twists to everything that she wishes for, and it's very interesting.
The whole be careful what you wish for.
Basically, yeah.
Awesome.
Is this a movie or a show?
It's a movie.
A movie. Oh, is it on Netflix or something?
We got it from Family Video. So.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right, and it's also
I haven't heard of it.
It's also on Hoopla, which is if you have it linked to your library, you can get it.
Yeah, it's like a free. There's audiobooks and the ebooks and movies and music. It's
Wish Upon.
And
We'll have to check
I heard
that
they're
one out.
gonna make a sequel. I
Yeah,
think
they
already?
were. Yeah,
or
they were
something
gonna make
tied to the
something like
world
that.
it's in.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. I don't think Get Out could have a sequel.
No.
Pretty much ends with that family.
Yeah.
But if Jordan Peele makes another film, he has my money.
Yeah,
completely.
Absolutely. I definitely am behind that. So you guys are collectively saying Wish Upon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll go Lauren next. Do you have any recommendations?
Just Westworld. I've been watching a lot of Westworld
We gotta
lately.
finish that.
I
You
love
have been
Westworld.
posting a lot about Westworld.
Yes,
Such
I
a
love
good
We still haven't
show.
finished
Westworld.
it.
It's such a good show.
We're
I
on
love
like
Did you finish it?
episodes.
I finished.
5.
I finished it. I finished watching it twice. Now I'm on my third go around.
Is there things you've noticed as you watched a second time that you didn't pick up on, and then your third time going through it?
Yeah, the third time I've definitely picked up on a lot of stuff that I did not
There's so
pick
many
up
twists
on
in
the
that
first
show.
2 times. I mean, just everything.
Did you get spoiled at all going into that show, or were you completely open to everything that kind of came out from it?
I was pretty much completely open. I mean, I wasn't spoiled at all.
That's
or
how I
anything.
was. Like, it's not like Game of Thrones to me. Every time I watch it, I know what the future holds there. But with Westworld, I had no idea, and it made the ending pay off so much better.
Yeah, we still haven't been spoiled on the ending. At least I haven't.
Right.
Have you?
It's so good.
Yeah, I
How
can't
many
wait
episodes
to finish it.
in are you?
I think we're on episode 5 or 6.
Yeah, there's 10.
All HBO shows are 10.
Yeah.
I saw
I'm
the
so
movie
excited for season 2.
that came out in like the early 80s, late 70s or something.
It's
The
just when
Westworld
you
movie.
it's just when you realize at the beginning that the hosts aren't conscious and that they gain consciousness just by basically willing it into themselves.
Right.
This
It's
is
wild.
J.J. Abrams produced thing, isn't it?
Yeah. It was written by Michael Crichton, I believe. The
Crichton?
original movie. Yeah, Michael Crichton.
Yeah. I saw the original movie. It was really silly.
Yeah.
Really weird. But that made me have interest in the show when they announced that they were doing it. I was like, oh, I remember something like that. And then we started watching it, and I really liked it. But for some reason, we set it aside for something else and
Stranger
just never
Things?
got back to it.
I think it was
You also
Doctor
need to
Who.
watch Fringe.
Fringe.
Oh,
You keep
I
talking
love
about that.
Fringe. I love
Fringe
that
is
show.
so good.
I just haven't seen the last season. I watched all of it, and then I didn't want to watch the last season because I was so disappointed that it was going to end.
Is Fringe on Netflix?
Yeah.
No, it used to be. It's not on Netflix anymore.
Did Hulu or someone get them, or is it
no,
just gone?
No, it's just gone. It's gone entirely. The only way I can watch it is because I own all 5 seasons on DVD.
There you go.
V, what about you? You have any recommendations?
Oh man, I don't know. I haven't really been. I haven't really had a lot of time to watch anything
It's
other
also-
than what we've talked about.
Well, it could also be food based.
Food based, you say?
Yeah.
Okay, well, for Thanksgiving, my mom made White Castle slider stuffing, and I would highly recommend Googling whatever the fuck recipe that was and making it all the time. It was
Bet Liz
delicious.
would have liked it.
Oh my gosh, that's like one of my favorite restaurants.
Yeah, she
Awesome.
bought like a giant crave case and chopped them all up and threw them into her stuffing, and it was delicious.
Tell your dad, right?
Yeah, no
It's
kidding.
unreal. It's an unreal dish. I was actually going to recommend mod pizza going back to earlier in the episode because it's awesome. Like I said, toppings galore, whatever you want. It's just a great place to eat.
Is it quick? Like, do they make them pretty quick?
It's what, like 10 minutes probably? We
Yeah.
stand in there and wait total.
So there's a place right by my work that may be worth getting for lunch one day, maybe.
Oh, it is? There's one of them by your work?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, man.
Oh, definitely get it. It's so good. You can get like a mini pizza, which was enough for 2 people, honestly. Well, 1 person, and then like the regular size pizza is enough for 2 people.
Yeah.
But it's really good.
I think the regular size pizza is an 11-inch for $7. And it doesn't matter what toppings you get. It's all the same price.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's not expensive. It's like $7 for an 11-inch any topping pizza.
That's not bad, because some places it's like, well, base fee is $7, then every ingredient is 50 cents.
No,
on
they
top
don't
of it.
charge you extra at Mod Pizza. It's pretty
That's
rad.
worth checking out, definitely.
Keeps it on the cheap side.
Moving on now. Let's talk about what we had today for food. We had mi ranchito. You had not been there. We didn't really talk about it in too much detail.
Okay.
What did you guys think?
I just had the cheese quesadilla, and it was really good. So sometimes I'm kind of hit or miss with quesadillas. Sometimes they're a little too soft, sometimes a little too crispy. This one was a good blend of the two, and then chips and salsa always are a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
I haven't found a chips and salsa I didn't like. Sometimes you like the salsa more, sometimes you like the chips more, but this one Definitely like the chips, also all good.
Pretty
And the
equally balanced.
quesadillas. I had a cheese quesadilla also, and it was good too. I'm a dipper with my quesadillas, so I was able to dip it and not like get a ton of it in the salsa, which was really good.
Excellent. You've had Mi Ranchito probably a lot.
Yeah, because I lived in Lowell for like 3.5 years, so
I'm so sorry.
So it's kind of old hat to you. You just have like your standard order.
Yeah. Although I used to, when I went there in high school, I used to always get the cheese quesadilla. But now that I've gotten older, I prefer chicken. I prefer something with a little bit more protein in it.
Yeah.
As opposed to just, straight up like cheese.
When I was younger, I used to eat the seafood chimichangas. I really liked those. But then as I got older, I realized that was kind of horrific because it's like imitation crab and like little pieces of rubbery shrimp. And I don't know.
Your tastes have matured?
I don't know if they've matured. They've just definitely have changed towards the steak side. So I got the steak quesadilla today. It was delicious.
Steak quesadilla is the bomb from Mi Ranchito. I love their chips and salsa, like you were saying earlier in the episode about how they're real flaky and they have layers to them. So you get a lot more salsa in the chip itself. It's like an extra place to put. It's like the vessel grew, and you get to eat it and have more salsa in your gullet, which is always great. That's pretty much all of our recommendations. We've only got really one more thing on the docket today. I wanted to pick an actor or actress and start doing this for every episode where we're going to highlight that actor or actress. We'll bring up their filmography, briefly just discuss some of our favorite movies, and then we'll call it a day. Okay. So does anybody have a suggestion? I have one I'm going to throw on if nobody throws the name out there, but I'll let the floor be open for a second. Anybody?
Anthony Hopkins.
Oh, okay. Let's pull up
Westworld thing.
Let's pull up Anthony Hopkins IMDb and go through.
The last thing I saw him in was Thor Ragnarok.
Hulk Thor.
I haven't seen the new Thor movie yet.
Yeah, we're going to very soon. Probably next weekend, I would hope.
Did you see Infinity War trailer?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that. We talked about that already on JIC this week that you haven't heard yet because it's not out yet because it hasn't been recorded yet in future time, but you've already heard it because today's Wednesday and Monday the show released.
So much time traveling on Foodies.
Happens.
Well, it follows my show, which I heard is fantastic, even though it hasn't been timey-wimey stuff.
Okay, Anthony Hopkins, pulling him up now, going to his IMDb. He was born in 1937, by the way. That's crazy to me.
Well, just what off the top of your head would you say?
I just remember reading like something online about him that he like memorizes all of his lines. Like he does not. He basically like
he memorized the whole script. Like not even just his lines, but he has like it knows it backwards and forwards. So
yeah.
He knows where he comes next.
He really likes Shakespeare too, and I feel like that helps him a lot, like with memorizing his lines.
Wasn't he a stage actor too for a bit?
Yeah.
That usually helps if you always went to stage first, because in stage you have to know all the lines. You can't stop to another take. Your show must go on.
Okay, with his filmography, it looks like the first actual movie he does. He did a couple TV shows in the early 60s, and I mean like 1960. Oh. He did A Matter of Degree. He was in 2 episodes. The Man in Room 17. He was a doctor for 1 episode. A Flea in Her Ear. He was in that's a TV movie. And then in 1967, he was in Red, White, and Zero. That was his first credited movie. He was in Hamlet. Let's go up here, looking at some of the bigger roles he did. War and Peace, TV miniseries. He did,
Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, that's on here,
My
obviously.
favorite movie that he was in was Meet Joe Black.
I was going to say, I love him in that movie, too.
I thought he
played
was
Joe
so
Parrish.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was such a good character in that movie.
Yeah, that was such a sad movie, wasn't it?
It makes me cry every time.
Every time.
Like, it's like 3 hours of just like...
It's so long, but you know what? Randomly, I'll see it like on HBO, and I'll be like...
The music in that movie, too, the score for that movie is so emotional.
It is. It's very emotional.
When did that movie come out?
Like 96 or
98.
I don't think I've seen that movie, actually. I might have to check that out.
Yeah,
it's really good.
It's really good, but it's very sad and bittersweet and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But I would recommend that movie, too. That was a good one.
Okay, he was in The Hunchback of Notre Dame as Quasimodo.
As a animated movie?
It was a TV movie in 1982.
Surprise.
Yeah.
I thought he was kind of terrible in Dracula. Do you remember
yeah,
him in that?
I did not like him in that
He
either.
was so weird.
Yeah.
Was he also in that the Wolfman movie? That recent Wolfman movie with
I liked that movie with Emily Blunt.
That movie was good.
It was okay.
It was okay.
It was okay.
I watched it once and I didn't hate it, but
like
I don't remember it either.
It was just kind of like unremarkable. Like it.
I don't know. At least for me, I feel like all of the recent remakes of these classic horror movies have just kind of fallen flat. Like
Well,
in the
I don't
last
think that
since
they're-
like I've been alive, I think they've all been
Right.
subpar.
And they tried to reboot that whole mummy thing with Tom Cruise.
Right. I think
and
it's just
Universal movie monsters are supposed to be making a comeback.
and I think that's dead.
Actually, already shelved it.
Yeah, because of the mummy
Did
flopping.
so bad.
Yeah.
I feel they should have just tied it to the Brendan Fraser franchise and just moved it that way. But they wanted a
It was a
A-list
different
actor
direction.
vehicle. Yeah.
Didn't work. It
I
failed.
feel like that's been happening a lot to Tom Cruise lately.
Yeah. Anthony Hopkins, by the way, not just in Silence of the Lambs, he was also in Hannibal and Red Dragon.
Hannibal is probably my favorite movie out of the three of them.
Okay.
Wasn't
Yeah.
there one? Wasn't it Rising?
Hannibal Rising didn't have Anthony Hopkins in
That
it.
was
That was like the prequel. It was like the fourth movie, but it came before Red Dragon chronologically.
Okay.
And it went Hannibal Rising chronologically, then Red Dragon, then Silence of the Lambs, then Hannibal.
And then-
They were released Silence of the Lambs, then Hannibal, then Red Dragon, then Hannibal Rising.
And then is the TV show, is it tied at all to the movies, or is it just like a in-between type?
The TV show is amazing.
It is. I can agree.
It's so good. It's like seriously probably one of my top 5 TV shows.
Where would that
It's really
fall?
gory, by the way.
Yeah,
Where would that
it's
fall
really
chronologically?
gory.
Is it like a Hannibal Rising time period?
It kind of exists like in its own
Continuity?
its own little universe, but I guess you could say chronologically it spans the events of it probably takes place before the Silence of the Lambs.
Okay.
I just looking at Anthony Hopkins' list of movies. He's played some really iconic people. He played Richard Nixon in Nixon. He played Alfred Hitchcock in Hitchcock.
Oh, I liked that movie.
I liked that movie a lot too.
Didn't he play someone in like Amistad or something?
He was in Amistad. Let me look that
I remember
up.
watching that in school.
I have a feeling that I read online that was
There's a lot of people
a
in that
movie
movie.
that was a movie that like he memorized, like that crazy long speech that he gave in
He
the
was
courtroom.
John Quincy Adams.
Yeah.
JQA.
Awesome. He was also in The Mask of Zorro.
Really?
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Zorro movie.
I don't remember him in that
He
movie.
has-
Antonio Banderas.
I know that. I just don't remember him in that
Sauciest.
movie.
He has an uncredited role in Mission Impossible 2.
Weird. Okay.
He narrated the How the Grinch Stole Christmas movie that I think Jim Carrey did in 2000.
I have to watch that
That
again.
makes
It's on
sense.
Netflix. My kid just wanted to watch that recently, and then he got kind of freaked out by it, and then he just lost interest.
And then, of course, he was Odin.
Oh,
Which, come on now.
I'd like to. Well, he probably loved that if he had the Shakespeare roots doing the first one.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably what
Yeah,
drew
he
him
probably
in.
loved that.
It's,
Yeah.
And the third one is like,
Odin-
this is
Odin
what
and
the
the
movie
Thor
became.
movies.
Yeah.
Isn't he a painter now? Doesn't he paint? Or did
Anthony Hopkins?
am I
He
thinking
seems kind of like a Renaissance man.
Well, he
so
also
I wouldn't be
he,
surprised if he was
wrote
a
a
painter.
symphony at one point that someone performed for him.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
he
incredible.
wrote like some shoes when he was like really young, and someone played it for him at like a celebration, and he like recognized it and like broke down.
I have a feeling that he speaks several different languages.
He seems like
too.
that kind of person.
I'm just not sure which ones he speaks.
He's definitely a Renaissance man.
Now I'm going to look up and see if his IMDb says if he's bilingual or multilingual.
Go to his Wikipedia.
Wikipedia, that's where I meant to say. My fault. Philip Anthony Hopkins, actually. My fault. Wikipedia has ads now?
Wikipedia
Really?
doesn't have ads. They just want you to donate. Their ads donate money to them, so they don't have to get ads.
I can't.
So it's.
I can't do that.
I get emails from this guy named Jimmy from Wikipedia all the time. He's always asking me for money.
Did you edit for Wikipedia?
Maybe.
They
I
have
can't
your
remember.
information.
Interesting. He has a dual citizenship.
With England?
Yes.
Is he a sir? He's a sir,
Yes,
isn't
He's
he?
been
is a
knighted,
sir. He
yeah.
has been knighted. Sir Philip Anthony Hopkins. That's crazy. legendary actor, man.
Definitely.
He's only probably got a couple really solid years left, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, like, we just saw that...
I'm really sad that he's
like
not going to be in Westworld Season 2, not to spoil it for any of you.
He's like 70 or 80,
Yeah, some of the
37.
A lot of the big actors getting up there. There's
He's
probably,
80.
He's 80?
Yes.
Well,
and he just did a Transformers movie.
I know the...
Ugh, why? Why?
I know I'm spacing on the name, but the guy, he played Lincoln.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis just officially retired from acting.
Really?
So I feel like Anthony Hopkins is, while he's done
Didn't
too
that
much...
like already happen?
Well, he said
a
after the
long
movie
time
that's
ago?
coming out this year is his last movie he's done.
Sure it is.
He might come back. There's a juicy enough role.
They'll probably find a
Well,
way to bring.
Nicholson's been retired forever, but he might come back.
They'll probably find a way to bring him back in Westworld, just because it's Westworld.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is
No
there
spoilers,
is there anything else we want to talk about today on Foodies before we call it an episode?
I just want to say it was so nice to finally meet you, Liz, and
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
nice for coming down, and I'm so glad that I was able to host you guys all
Yeah.
at Studio V.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Also, anytime Foodies, you want to come on and be a part of the episode, please do. It's been a blast.
yeah.
I can't wait to hear your guys' Poor Report episode in the future.
Yeah, we'll have to do one.
Yeah, that'll be a blast.
Liz loves political news so much.
Oh, yeah.
I can feel the sarcasm permeate off of you. That was amazing. Lauren, did you have anything else to add today before we rock out?
Nope, I am good.
All right. Well, folks, as always, check out Foodies Watching Movies on all of our different social media platforms. You can get us on Facebook at Foodies Watching Movies, or on Instagram at Foodies Watching Movies, on Twitter at Film Foodies. Make sure to subscribe to the Journey into Comics network at journeyintocomics.com, or on all the different podcasting apps, whether it's iTunes, Podbean, Google Play Music, Stitcher Radio. What is that? Castbox?
Castbox.
You use Castbox.
Yeah.
That's a new one I haven't heard before.
Made the airport flying a lot easier.
Oh, interesting. Overcast, Downcast. We're pretty much everywhere. Just search Journey into Comics. And then if you go on to journeyintocomics.com, on the side, you can go to all of everybody on the network's different pages and check it out. If you go to patreon.com/Journey into Comics, you get early access for $1. Every episode, as soon as it's done being edited, goes directly onto the Patreon before it debuts later that week on the network itself at journeyintocomics.com. And then for $3, you get exclusive content. That's going to do it for this week's episode of Foodies Watching Movies. I've been Nate.
I'm Andrew.
Veronica.
Lauren.
Liz.
And we will check you guys later. Eat well.